Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today we're going to break down how Google's latest full-stack AI updates are completely revolutionizing software development. If you've been paying any attention to the AI space lately, the hype cycle is loud. But honestly, what actually matters to developers and enterprise leaders boils down to three things: speed, cost, and capability. So we're going to look at exactly how those three barriers are literally being shattered right now. So let's run through our agenda real quick. First, the Silicon Foundation. Second, enter Gemini 3.5 Flash. Third, Antigravity 2.0 and the Agentic workflow. And finally, calculating enterprise cost savings. Section 1. The Silicon Foundation, custom TPU hardware. Okay, so you really can't have an agentic software revolution without the raw compute power to back it up. And Google, well, they're backing it up with a staggering $180 to $190 billion CapEx investment this year alone. That massive investment allows for a really deliberate dual-chip approach. First up, we have the TPU-8T. This is optimized for massive scale. By using infrastructure like jacks and pathways, training isn't just stuck in a single data center anymore. It's actually distributed globally across more than 1 million TPUs. But then, on the flip side, we have the TPU-8I. This chip is built strictly for inference because out in the real world, latency is everything. And thanks to that TPU-8i architecture, we're seeing speeds of nearly 1,500 tokens per second. Just to put that into perspective for a second, during the keynote, they actually prompted the model to code a Chrome Dino game. The response generated in real time, and it was so incredibly fast that it actually took longer to physically type out the prompt than it did for the AI to write the whole game. Section 2. Enter Gemini 3.5 Flash, the speed and cost engine. So the hardware gives us the speed, right? But Gemini 3.5 Flash is the high-octane engine that's actually driving this new era. Flash really sits in a league of its own. Right out of the box, it's 4 times faster than other frontier models. But here's the absolute kicker. When it's co-optimized and used inside Google's Antigravity platform, it becomes 12 times faster. And it manages to deliver all this intelligence at less than half the price of comparable models. That completely rewrites the math on token-heavy workflows. Section 3. Antigravity 2.0 and the Agentic workflow. Now, with the hardware and the model in place, we arrive at the application layer, the place where developers are actually interacting. And guys, we are experiencing a true paradigm shift here. We're no longer just using AI as an advanced autocomplete or, asking it for a quick isolated code snippet. We are moving headfirst into agentic coding. This means engineers can now delegate complex, multi-day goals to autonomous systems that can actually reason, plan, execute, and, crucially, fix their own mistakes. I love this quote from Varun Mohan. He calls it unabashedly agent first. It perfectly captures the whole philosophy behind Antigravity 2.0. Because this isn't just some plugin you tack onto your editor. It's a completely standalone desktop application with a totally reimagined UI. It uses side-panel agent conversations, agent-produced artifacts, and multi-agent orchestration to give developers this invisible, incredibly powerful harness to execute real-world tasks safely. So to truly test the limits of this new agentic harness and that screaming fast Gemini 3.5 Flash model, the Google engineering team tasked Antigravity with a notoriously brutal challenge. They told it to build a fully functional operating system from scratch. We are talking about a real OS that other applications can actually run on. That is something that normally takes a dedicated human engineering team months to pull off. Let's look at how that massive challenge actually translated into a workflow. First, the main agent asynchronously breaks down the whole challenge into a cohesive plan. Then, it spins up all these parallel subagents to tackle individual components simultaneously. And finally, they generate and execute custom tests, iterating over and over until the code actually works. These agents autonomously wrote every single line of code, from the scheduler right down to memory management and the file system. And the resulting metrics are just absolutely staggering. What would typically be a multi-month human engineering effort was collapsed into just 12 hours. It utilized 93 subagents working in parallel, processing a massive 2.6 billion tokens. And because of the unbelievable cost efficiency of Gemini 3.5 Flash, this entire functional operating system was built for less than $1,000 in API credits. And the best part? It actually worked. During their live demo, they booted up the OS right in a terminal window. Now, sure, they hit a tiny snag at first. It was missing some video and keyboard drivers, but using Antigravity, they just debugged it on the fly. And within moments, they were literally playing a game of Doom on an operating system entirely hallucinated into existence by AI agents. Just wild. Section 4. Calculating enterprise cost savings. So let's zoom out to the macro picture for a second and look at the reality of the current landscape. Agentic coding is an absolute token monster. Because these agents are constantly iterating, testing, and rewriting code autonomously, companies are just blowing through their annual token budgets halfway through the year. Cost efficiency is pretty much the single biggest bottleneck in AI development today. To put it in perspective, right now, top companies in Google Cloud are processing around 1 trillion tokens every single day. So, what happens if these top cloud companies optimize their stack? If they shift just 80% of those daily, heavy lifting workloads over to the highly efficient Gemini 3.5 Flash model and keep the remaining 20% on the slower, deeper reasoning models, well, the math gets incredibly exciting for the CFOs out there. That 80% shift translates to over $1 billion in annual savings. Yes, billion with a B. That is a massive amount of recovered capital that enterprises can pour directly back into research, development, and growing their core businesses. And they can do it all without sacrificing a single drop of speed or quality in their engineering output. I want to leave you all with this thought today. We've seen how custom silicon accelerates these models, how Gemini Flash drops the price floor, and how Antigravity gives us a totally unabashedly agent-first workflow. Now that the historic barriers of speed, crazy compute costs, and manual coding labor have been effectively shattered, the only limit left is your ambition. With multi-day tasks collapsing into minutes for pennies on the dollar, what will you build in the agentic era? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.